Hello everybody, welcome back to Dominions 5. We are playing as Late Age Utgard in the YouTuber series, and I realized in the last turn I forgot to do outgoing diplomacy, so let's just look at this. So Micklin had said he was going to end his nap with us, so we have sent messengers back to him. And what I'm saying is, because he said, he's ending his nap with everybody, and he's looking for options. So what I'm suggesting to him is, why don't we not end our nap? In other words, we both are in a similar situation, right? We want to stop other people from doing throne rushes, and we want to try to grab easy-to-reach thrones, right? And I'm telling him, look, you could attack me here, but I could also choose to try to, get you here, or we could just try to have a huge fight over this throne. But if we try to have a huge fight over this throne, then those are resources that we're not putting on other frontiers, right? So right now I'm devoting, whatever army happened to be in this area to try to defend this throne. But if I wanted to, I could drag a whole pile of dudes over here to defend it. But if I'm doing that, then I'm reducing my effectiveness. I might not be able to take this throne or do any other thrones. And similarly for him, if he takes this throne by, investing a lot, then that's making it harder for him to possibly go here and grab this throne or over here to grab this throne, whatever else he wants to be doing. So I'm saying, why don't we not do that and see if we can continue to look on other borders. Now, I suspect I'm hoping for this, right? I'm not sure yet what he's going to bring, but actually let's load up the next turn and we'll see exactly what he's bringing to bear. So the next turn is turn 37. Before we do diplomacy, let me just look. Yeah, so we do see here what he has, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, but he's got a whole pile of ocelotls. So that answers our question from before. But let's actually look at the diplomacy messages. Messenger from Ulm. Know of our great victory over Micklin. And so apparently there was a big battle, including the death of his prophet. So apparently there was a big battle in Ulm, and Ulm seems to have won. So Micklin is having a bit of trouble finishing Ulm off over here. Then Midgard, oh boy, gets ready. Get ready, guys. You still's not answered. All right, we're not going to read this. So Midgard. So he's rhetorical question. It's actually pretty funny if you bother to read this. It's just really hard to read out loud. So you guys can always go and read that text yourselves, because I'm not. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. So he finally attacked, and of course he sent this last turn. So now he realizes that there were only scouts, on his castles. And there's this weird. This is what happens when you have this delayed diplomacy, right? So. I actually feel that in my diplomacy with Midgard, I've been very clear, right? I wanted a limited war to get this throne back, and that was it. I had no further interest, right, in fighting him and conquering him. And I think I made that pretty clear. Maybe not. It's possible, my language was too flowery, but I think I made that pretty clear. He came up here to fight me a few turns ago, and then I crushed his army. But I never pushed into his main lands, right? I, constantly was telling him, look, this is all, we can stop fighting whenever you want to fight. But he's been raiding me nonstop. And so I feel that what happened is, in response to the raiding, I just kind of wanted to put extra pressure on him to stop. So I brought those two thugs onto his castles here. I've since, but I retreated them afterwards, right? It was just to send a message. But from his perspective, he's sort of interpreting that as mixed signals from me, as if I'm saying I want peace, but then I continue to attack him. And so he's saying well, I don't trust you, so I'm going to keep raiding you. So there's a lot of lost in translation going on here, I feel, between us. And I think half of that is definitely sort of the role-playing flavor that we have going on to this Diplo. And, a lot of that is also the delayed communication. So you get like two different tracks of communication going on because you got to wait a turn. But regardless, I mean, so he's continuing to raid me, and I'll clear out his thugs. I guess it's lost income for me. Once in a while, I mind hunt his guy and kill it. So whatever. That's happening. It's just annoying that it's not resolved, right? I wish we could just forget about this Midgard thing. So that's all we got to say about Midgard. Do I actually send any messages to him? Yeah, I do send a message to him. I say, the mighty siege of your forts has been lifted. So I'm referring to the fact that there's just like a scout here. Your heroic troops defeated my mighty scouts. Now will you cease thrashing about? And then I'm finally... Remember, he had asked me like some cutesy questions about, well, who started the war, and so on and so forth. So here's what I write. We started this war with you to secure a throne. We secured that throne. Oh, sorry, misclicked there. We never had any ambitions towards your forts or your other thrones, or even truly to engage your army in a massive battle, weakening you for your fight versus man, which seemed to be going well. We have had what we wanted for a long time now, the throne and a couple of extra provinces in the south. We do not want any more, and it is also not in our interest to weaken you further as you fight against your other neighbors. We also know, especially after your defeat in our battle, that you do not have the ability to retake what we took from us. So it is for that reason that we offer you peace. Even your brash selves must realize the futility of continued hostilities with us. As always, we continue to not pursue any aggression towards you. We are simply waiting for you to accept the cessation of hostilities. So, I mean, I couldn't be clearer than that, right? Okay, do we have any other Diplo? No, that's it for the Diplo. Now, let's see. Well, let's do the turn quickly. I don't think there are many significant fights. He assassinates a mage. He actually cleared my scout with 2 scouts, but I think my guys were on retreat anyways. There's a battle here and a battle here. So I think it's just little raids. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, so nothing too special happening here. I guess he raided this province. Okay. Let's talk about... I want to close this episode by talking about Mictlan, because that's a big deal. But before we do that, let's talk about other developments. And specifically this. So... What's happening here, it seems, is that following the effective collapse of Cetis, like Cetis has, like I said last turn, he's in some ways won against Pangaea, but he was never able to get the big Pangaean army off his cap. And so he's been quite weakened, and Pythium has taken advantage of that and is stomping across the land. But Pythium has now gone underwater and is clearly making a play for this throne. Now, Pythium already has this throne, which is 3 points, and this is a 2-point throne, so that would give him 5. And so the big question is, does he also have access to another throne? For example, here, see? Because Pythium is over here, so he could easily walk and either get this throne or this throne. And this is probably the other 2-point throne. So if he's going underwater here, then he could easily do throne rush. Do a throne rush here. So I sent some messages. To Mictlan. First, this is just to clear up the issue of the nap. Right, I wasn't sure what turn it would end, but I just wanted to clarify it. And here I'm explaining that we have a problem with Pythium. Pythium might be doing a throne rush, so I'm just explaining it to him specifically. And I've also reinforced to him, like, look, I know you want to attack me. Remember, last turn I sent him a message saying, let's actually not end our nap. And now I'm resending that message. I'm saying, look, we can fight all we want. But even if I wanted to put all my army here, right now I can't because I have to dedicate a lot of resources to stopping this throne rush. So mostly all of these thugs that I might have used in this fight are not going to be used. Although, we'll get to this later, but thugs are not going to help too much against this. But the point is, I have to devote a lot of resources and mage turns and crafting and stuff to deal with this, which otherwise I can't use to deal with Micklin. So I'm saying, look, I got to deal with this Pythium shit. Can we hold off on the skirmish on our throne? So that's what I'm telling Micklin. Now to man, I'm also I need info on 20. So 20 and 37 are these thrones here, I believe. 20 and 37. So I'm not 100% clear who has this, and I'm making sure, like, can Pythium get it? Like, what's the deal here? So man might have that information. And then, yeah, okay, so that's it for Diplo. So this is a big deal. Now, what does he have here? He has Hydras and Mandragores. Mandragores are undead that have, like, sleep vines, and then Hydras are the national... let's look at that. The pretenders of the world, Pythium. These are the Hydras. So Hydras are big, expensive hit points. They have built-in regen, some toughness, not a lot of protection. He appears to have a rainbow chassis, so it's probably some kind of rainbow bless. They have a lot of attacks, but they're not magical attacks. They do poison, I think, yeah. They have a poison cloud. They have a fear aura. They're undisciplined. So they're kind of... Pythium is weird. It's really hard. And you can only get one per turn. It's questionable whether you want to do a whole bless strategy around them, which he doesn't appear to have done. But they're still not... Like, you can't ignore these guys. You got to fight against them properly. So anyways, he's got a bunch of Hydras, which are... which go... Do they go underwater? They have swimming, but swimming just means they cross rivers. So I guess you need a thing to make them go underwater. I just assumed they went... I mean, obviously, look, they are underwater, so obviously he has something that... an item or something that helps them go underwater. Anyways, and he also has... His Pretender is actually here. So clearly he's aiming to claim this throne, right? Because he's going to claim it with a Pretender. So, the first thing we're doing is we are actually casting, I forget where it is, but we're actually casting a scrying spell, the water scrying spell, to see the exact details of what he's got here. Because next turn he's going to attack this throne, and then we'll see what he has. By the way, so he's going to attack here, and then let's say this turn his orders are attack, and then next turn he's going to claim. So we can attack him, like, we don't have to attack him this turn. If we attack him next turn and defeat his army, then it will, the throne will no longer be his at the end of the turn, so he doesn't win. Now, that's risky because he could Magic Phase build a fort here if he had a Nature Mage within range, which I don't think he does, because I don't think he has any labs. He doesn't have a lab here, so he can't do it. So you would have to have, like, a high-level Nature Mage in a lab to do this, summon a forest kelp fort, whatever it's called. On land, you could do it with, like, Wizard's Tower. There's a blood spell that does it. So I don't think he has that. So we have another turn, which is good because I don't have my Rings of Water Breathing, which is what we're making now. So we'll talk about the exact... Well, I mean, basically... The plan is we're going to send these thugs in. They're going to have Rings of Water Breathing. We're also going to send in probably... I think I do the scripting next turn, so you know what? We'll talk about it next turn in detail. But it's just going to be thugs with the right buffs. That's basically what it is. Now, let's shift gears and talk about Micklin. So, Micklin... is coming for a throne, and he has Ocelotls. I hate Ocelotls. I just played a game over the summer. It was an all-nations game, which I recorded a lot of it. I haven't quite finished it. I don't think I've released it yet on the channel. It was an all-nations game. It was early age. I was playing as Marverni. And I was bordering Zabalba, and Zabalba also gets these Ocelots, and they also get Beast Bats. And actually, there was another Blood Nation right next to me, so it was quite a pain. Ocelots are, I mean, they're perfect for Micklin, who has an insane Killy Bless. So Ocelots, in case you don't know, they're sacreds. You summon them with blood. And they have 3 attacks per turn, and they're kind of beefy. They have like 20 hit points or something like that. Again, this is from memory. I haven't looked it up just for this video, but they're pretty beefy, and they're flying with 3 attacks per turn. So they are absolutely insane. So this is an army with a devastating Alpha Strike. And that's a problem because we've only got a small army here. Like, this is not a big... this is actually literally a third of my total army, right? So this is the same amount of giants as was there, and then there's even more here. So yeah, this is, and plus here. So this is like a quarter of my strength, right? Now I've been moving a bunch of mages here, and I've got a few cat mages in here. But in terms of actual meat shield, I have very, very little here, and this is a huge problem. Because, so Ocelots have a massive Alpha Strike. They just destroy your backline if they do like attack rear. So one way to deal with them is to have a Staff of Storms, which puts up Storm right as the battle starts. Because if you cast Storm on the first turn, they're just going to fly to you on turn 1 anyways, because you don't need to do hold and attack. You just do attack rear, right? So it's too slow. So you need a Staff of Storms. But I have no air access, so I'm screwed, right? So I can't stop him from flying and attacking rear. So I have to... the only way to beat them is to have a big enough cushion that whatever your other strategy is going to have time to come in, to come online. So our strategy, the only strategy that we have is fatigue spells and Skeleспam, which is not terrible because, with the quickness bless, that's 6 attacks per turn. That actually can fatigue you up, pretty fast. So, if you're wasting 6 attacks per turn on Skeleспam, you're going to get fatigued out. And, we'll do this precise scripting for this next turn. But, what we're hoping is that we can get to the point where our Communion can get online, we can get Rigor Mortis, Grip of Winter, and then I have to decide, do I bring my Monolith down here to get some Earth access? Because Earth will allow me to do things like Curse of Stones. Curse of Stones is great to fatigue based on attacks. Now, it's MR negates easily, but he's got pretty high Earth, and so he can cast it a few times. That is basically, if we had enough of a meat shield, like if I had twice the giants or 3 times the giants, right? If I had only 2 big army stacks, I would actually feel not confident, but I definitely have a shot against the Ocelot. I mean, Ocelots are really nasty. There's no 2 ways about it. But if you have enough of a meat shield, and the other thing, don't forget, my guys, so my giants here, so giants are not what you... These giants are, they're tanky against things that don't hit hard, but the Ocelots, it's not like 6 weak attacks, they're like 20 damage attacks. Like, it's a really overpowered unit. They're really nasty. So they actually will chew through giants. Now, Fortitude, the resistances that I get as part of my bless are great. That's definitely going to help. But it's not enough, right? So let's get into the details of the script in the next episode. I think the next episode is going to be a long one because we've got a lot of planning to do. But yeah, what I'm hoping is that I can do a combination of maybe buffing with Body Ethereal and maybe a few first turn summon skeletons to create a buffer. We'll see. I don't know if I can pull this off. But I'll try. But I don't know if it's possible. So that's it. That was turn 37. Let's end the episode here. And the next one might be a longer one because we're going to have to do a lot of detailed scripting for this fight and also for this upcoming fight. So I'll see you guys in a moment. Take care.